It's not a question of losing your culture. You can't do that. To exist within space and time is to be specific. You cannot but be a something, if you see what I mean, if you're embodied, and that something is always going to be specific. But you need to realise that something that you are is a conditioned something, and that others are conditioned differently. And it's in recognising that your own conditioning and the different conditioning of others that you transcend that conditioning. That's what transcendence essentially consists in. It's not that the Buddha, on gaining enlightenment, ceases to be an Indian, a man, a human being, from a princely family, etc., etc. He doesn't cease to be all that, but he ceases to be limited by it and ceases to identify with it, and is able to approach other people and appreciate their difference and meet them beyond that difference. So I think that in coming together with others from different cultures, and the more different the better from this point of view, the more we are encouraged and at times even forced to transcend ourselves and to appreciate more fully just how much we're limited by our narrow identification with our own culture.
Just having an awareness that there are other people who are following the Dharma in different parts of the world puts what I'm trying to do in a much bigger context.
When I think about the size of the Glasgow Sangha as such, it's actually quite small. And yet there are a lot of order members, Scottish order members, and they seem to have just disappeared to other parts of the world. It seems to be very Scottish characteristic.
It's hard to talk about people from Scotland without getting into some kind of football metaphor when you think about the nation, and I hope that isn't all that Scotland has to offer. But really, I think what Scottish people have to offer in terms of practicing is barefaced cheek and sentimentalism of quite a developed variety.
So I think Scottish people bring fun, at its best, bring a lot of fun into the Dharma.
I think Scots can be quite enterprising and quite adventurous in their own particular way. Maybe as someone once said, they don't fight in a straight line.
There's a warmth and generosity about the way that they practice the Dharma that I've always appreciated.
A coming down to earth and a making the ideas of the Dharma pragmatic and true to life.
I quite like Schumacher's old slogan, "Think globally, act locally." It's one of the phrases that partly got me into the alternative scene. So I think it's very reassuring that I can act locally here in Oslo, but I also know that I got friends in Australia, New Zealand, America, around the world who are, well, in their place acting locally as well. It gives me just confidence that the little change that I affect here in my local situation will have a bigger impact.
And that it's the same Sangha. I'm still part of the same Sangha, whether I'm living in the UK or in Norway or wherever I go in the world. And that's very important to me.
We are quite proud, sort of wanting to manage on our own, and would like to, and quite determined. If we sort of decided we want to do something, we would like to go on and do it.
Winter retreat and beautiful wintry scenery, lots of snow and peaceful forests. Norwegian wood, isn't it good?
Living our lives pretty close to nature affects us in the way that we can go outside and sort of feel the peace and calmness.
Norwegians on the whole are well disposed to solitary retreats. We've been doing that partly by necessity for a long time. Long winters have forced us to actually sometimes shut ourselves up in our little cabins and sometimes brood and sometimes contemplate.
Probably more important than anything is the maintenance of deep friendships across the lines of culture, so that people from different cultures have strong friendships with people in different parts of the movement, coming from different cultures. And we've put a lot of emphasis on this. For instance, we have our ordination processes, and we deliberately try to get people from different cultures together for those ordination processes. It's not always easy because sometimes people can't travel, it's very expensive and so on, but we do our best to make sure that there are some people from each culture who've been trained alongside people from other cultures, and that those friendships we're sure in the future will hold the movement together, hold the order together. Our biggest issue there is linking or uniting rather the movement in the West taken as a whole and the movement in India, because the cultures there are so different, much more different than any cultures within the West or within India, where there are many different cultures. And that is costing us the greatest effort and causing us the most difficulties, although at the same time we've been remarkably successful, I think. And it's principally by developing friendships and connections between people. Because as long as you feel that you've got a friendship with somebody from a different culture, even if they're the other side of the world, and that you share with them a spiritual commitment, well, you're not going to want to split away from them. You're not going to want to cut off from them. You want to develop things in the way that's appropriate within your own cultural context, but that won't stop you from feeling that you've got this deep bond with others. In the end, that the spiritual community is founded on our personal connections, on our spiritual friendships.